Hi guys, welcome to Fate of Destiny's 7th live stream. What I'm going to try is, what I'll do is this format where I read out a question and then respond to it, or a comment. There ends up being a little bit of delay, but it's pretty close to live feedback. So feel free to pose me your questions, comments, everything. I'm looking forward to starting chatting with you. And I want to try something new today. I have a couple of articles I want to share with you and just kind of start some discussion. But this will be, as the other ones have been, very free form. All right, I'm gonna catch up with your comments already. So hello everybody and welcome. Hello Destiny, digging the shirt. Yeah, I've got one of my, it says keep calm and carry one, because I'm feeling very 1911-y today. Okay, how many live chats until we see repeat outfits? Well, considering that I'm a girl and probably have like way bigger of a wardrobe than I need, probably an awful lot of live streams before I start wearing duplicate outfits. I've been hosting my YouTube channel where I post like 2 videos a week, at least for the last 6 months, 8 months. And even before them, it was 1 video a week, and I rarely have a duplicate outfit, even in my YouTube videos. Alright, getting caught back up again. Woohoo, I made it! Welcome, guys. Okay. One thing I like to ask, or recently anyway, is from where are you joining your live stream? I think it's neat that having this internet connection means that I get to chat at people from different states and sometimes even different countries while I'm sitting here in Wisconsin on a abnormally warm day. What about the shoes? I'm actually not wearing shoes right now. I am indoors, so I'm barefoot. Denmark. Oh, that is way cool. Denmark's quite a jog away. I'd love to visit sometime, though. The burbs of Chicago, California, or California, Massachusetts, Germany? Really? Germany? That is crazy. Now in New Jersey, originally from Scotland, sorry. France? Really? Oh, this is quite the spread. Brazil, Tennessee. Ooh, Brazil. Kansas City, Missouri. Neat. So, Moline, Illinois. And, of course, Aussie Wombat, all the way out in Australia. Man, that is quite the jog away. Well, from all of your varied locales, welcome. I'm really excited to be chatting with you guys. Ah, from Ohio. Neat. Sorry, that's just really cool. Ooh, Honolulu, Hawaii. Florida, the Gunshine State. I've lived in Florida before. It was gorgeous. Fargo, North Dakota. No, really. One of my all-time favorite movies is Fargo by the Coen brothers. I love that movie. Cairo, Georgia. Well, that's cool. Any singing today? I don't think so. I don't have anything planned. But what I do have planned is I'd like to talk about some gun stuff. Today, I don't know if you guys have been following that whole concealed carry progress in Illinois, but they hit kind of a landmark today. I'm going to bring up the Arms Guide article that just went live today. Let's see here. Here we go. So I'm pulling up the latest post from thearmsguide.com. And it is called Another Stride for Illinois Concealed Carry. So for those of you who haven't been following the great progress, Illinois is the last state to be getting concealed carry. And they originally submitted a proposal because Supreme Court said that their ban on concealed carry was unconstitutional and gave them 6 months to come up with some sort of legislation or just going de facto to constitutional carry, which a whole lot of people, especially people out of some of the more gun antagonistic in Chicago were very opposed to the idea of concealed carry. So there's been a whole lot of scramble to try and get together some legislation on concealed carry. And last month, June, was their original 6-month limit. They filed to get an extra month extension, but that bill that they proposed to the governor vetoed it, and then today they finally passed, they overruled the governor's veto and passed their law. So, being in Wisconsin, I have been tracking that just out of the interest, and it's been kind of an exciting progression. And obviously, you know that I am in favor of concealed carry and that I personally conceal carry. And I think that it goes along with the right that the Second Amendment protects, that was already granted to us, to be able to keep and bear arms. They have concealed carry in New Jersey. All you have to do is qualify to have visited Mars in the last 2 years. Yeah, even though New Jersey has concealed carry, it's fairly restrictive. Okay, really restrictive, not just fairly. I understand it's like that in a lot of the East Coast states, and then California too. I hear it's pretty difficult to get a hold of a permit. The bill that just passed today, or that was passed today, includes a shall issue permit, which the bill that they proposed in June did not. It was going to be a May issue. So that was a nice change, or at least I think gun advocates will think it was a nice change. I think some of the restrictions, though, that the governor wanted to impose were totally crazy. He had this suggestion that he wanted to put into place that was having it just assumed and having the legislation that no private property allowed firearms, and that if you wanted to have firearms on your private property, you had to post some sort of sign saying that you approve of having firearms on your property, which I think is totally nuts. It's like backwards from where it is in most states. But the restriction on the training, 16 hours in order to get the permit, and it's not reciprocal. So that is like the most, that is the largest amount of time required out of any state. I guess personally, because Illinois is pretty close, and on different occasions that I've done some road tripping, I've had to drive through Illinois, and I hate having to, disarm and pack everything all up and make sure that I'm fulfilling the legal requirements for traveling with a firearm, and it's just a pain in the rump. But at least the law is providing some option for concealed carry as opposed to nothing, even if it's not reciprocal. So what do you guys think about it? I know not everybody is an American citizen here, but I'm really interested in hearing some of your feedback. New Jersey banning Barrett rifles since they're easily concealable. Yeah, wow. Someone asked what I was carrying today. I felt like very 1911-y, so I am carrying my 1911 CIS Pro. It's a Kimber 1911, but as it is like ready for concealed carry, it's all locked and loaded, so I don't want to draw it at the moment. But that's what I have on me today. Every state should be like Arizona, because that's constitutional carry, if I remember correctly. How are the animals? Actually, Aries is sleeping just in the other room away from me. If he starts to snore, I might have to move him or something, but so far he's not snorting too loudly. Alright, getting caught back up. The bill still sucks for the most part. Yeah, it's from what I was reading over, it was very restrictive. A lot of places that you're not allowed to carry, like no public transit, like public buses and stuff like that, not allowed to carry there. And I think I saw something about no carrying in stadiums. Although the governor wanted to change the people's ability to conceal carry in any restaurant that serves alcohol, period, he was going to nix that. But that got overruled. So there's now some provision for people to be able to carry in a restaurant that serves alcohol, as long as the alcohol is less than 50% of gross sales. Progress. I know Wisconsin wanted to have some sort of restriction on concealed carry in like taverns and stuff, but the law stands right now that as long as you're not consuming any alcoholic beverages, you are allowed to conceal carry in a bar or tavern. Getting caught up. Just joined randomly to say, and you probably hear this all the time, you're gorgeous, I hope you're doing well. It's not the comment that I meant to read, but thank you. I meant to read the one above it. The only pro-gun senator in Hawaii is trying to make concealed carry shall issue. It is currently may issue, and they are not big on constitutional reasons. So sad. I can't say I've ever been to Hawaii, and I guess there's always that dream of how it would be such this nice, idyllic place because it looks so gorgeous. But now that I am a concealed carrier and I own firearms, if I ever consider living in a different state, that is the first thing that I start looking at, or at least one of the first things, is what the restrictions are going to be for concealed carry. And since I'm a writer full-time now, I get the freedom to travel a little bit more, and I've done gone to different shoots, like the Second Amendment shoot over at Corey and Erica's range in Indiana, or did some training out in Kentucky. That kind of stuff means that I'm traveling through other states very frequently. And one of the biggest things that I take into mind, even if I'm not moving anywhere, or considering moving anywhere, is the hassle of how do I travel with my firearms, especially if I'm going to a shoot. I want to travel with guns, right? So it's kind of irksome to have to go through so much red tape to make sure that I'm doing everything legally, because it is my worst nightmare of just traveling down the road, get pulled over for something stupid like, I don't know, a burnt out taillight or something, and then have an officer be like, so I see you have a lot of guns, and lead to some sort of awkward conversation. I hope that never happens. So I take every precaution that I can to make sure that I'm doing everything the right way and as safely as possible, and without getting into any unnecessary awkward conversations. Okay, getting caught back up. Did you hear about Jim Carrey's not so apologetic apology? Yes, I did. I saw he even posted something to Twitter. Sorry, assault rifle fans, I love you, and something like that. I thought it was kind of, it seemed to me to be a bit of backpedaling, because it looks like he got a whole lot of heat from the firearms enthusiast community for the overwhelmingly negative viewpoint that he expressed in that video that he uploaded to Funny or Die. And I'm not entirely surprised, because one thing about a lot of people who are firearms owners is they are also consumers of movies and television. And because Jim Carrey is a comedian who is featured in a lot of movies and television, he can stand to be impacted by the shooters' decisions to put away their wallets, especially with the his recent movie that hit the theaters recently. What was that? Kick-Ass? It was the Kick-Ass 2, in which he's supposed to be this like vigilante dude who wields firearms. I heard it totally tanked, and the movie released, like, it hit theaters just after he made his whole parody video, scorching the firearms enthusiast community. So I think if I had that opinion about firearms owners, I probably would have kept my mouth shut. But if I have a movie that includes a lot of firearms use that was being released at the same time, that probably wasn't the best decision as far as the timeline goes.
At least Dumb and Dumber 2 was killed as well.
And my dad/producer over here is telling me that he had some deal in the works for Dumb and Dumber 2, and as a result of all the fallout from that backlash, he killed the deal. And I feel that people are inclined to have are allowed to have their opinions. But I think he should, being in that public eye, it maybe would have been advisable for him to consider that his popularity is due to the people who are willing to watch him. And if he shuns a group of that people, maybe not so good for his career. Okay. I already did that. Sorry, Dad's just making sure that I get to your questions. Jim Carrey had a recent movie? Yeah, I've watched a couple of Carrey movies that I've liked, so I don't, hate him as a person or anything, but I disagree with his approach on how he so, like, viciously alienated firearms enthusiasts. That's just my personal viewpoint. I still really like the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and that happens to have Jim Carrey as one of the main characters. Alright, getting caught back up. The first Kick-Ass was great. I didn't see the second one yet. You know, I haven't seen either of them. I didn't even know that he had done the movies until I started seeing the news stuff about, well, when he released the movie, and then the apology, and how those kind of related to each other. Alright, getting caught up. How was your 4th of July? It was really pleasant. I missed my brother, though. It made me think of him a lot, knowing that he's out, serving our country, and I was grilling hot dogs on the 4th of July, and he was way far away. So that was kind of a bummer, but it was still really nice family time, aside from that bit. I didn't end up going to see the fireworks this year. Thought about it, but we just decided to have a quiet night at home. It was nice. We don't get enough of that. But then again, I'm one of those people who's a big homebody, and I really, especially enjoy getting to spend time with my family. I can't get enough of it, so maybe that's my bias speaking. Let's see. I think Destiny's dad deserves a thank you for helping out. Can't be easy to keep track of all the comments. Thanks, Dad. Thank you, Dad. My family has been, massively awesome with all of my YouTube and writing and online endeavors. I'm really blessed, and my dad has been a big part of that. I mean, if I look back to it, he started my interest in firearms. He introduced me to the shooting sports. He was the one I can credit to teaching me how to handle a firearm safely, teaching me basic, sight picture and grip and stance and breathing, trigger control, all of that. I can thank my dad for that. One of the biggest things that I think my dad has given me is that the focus on mindset. Not just getting into the mindset of making me a better shooter by focusing on certain things, but also concealed carry mindset. He and I had a lot of discussion when I first decided that I wanted to get my permit. He and I talked a whole ton. Because there are certain risks involved with making that decision to take on that responsibility of carrying a concealed firearm. And I was really grateful for his opinion and his experience and his feedback. And even though he didn't need to because he already had some training, he went to my safety course with me, or my handgun, the course that I had to take to conceal the. Wow, let me try that in English. I'm sorry.
Course? How's that?
I no words. I just got tied up. He's making fun of me over here. Anyway, I took the CCW course that's required by Wisconsin, and that's 8 hours worth of training. And he was nice enough to take it with me, even though he didn't have to, so I appreciated that too. One of these days, I might even catch up to him in shooting ability. That's an ultimate goal. I think carrying is one of my top/most important responsibilities. It is a huge weight. I was never one of those people who, when I started carrying a gun, I felt like, oh, I'm super powerful now, and watch out, world, I have a gun, or, the way that some liberal anti-gunners seem to get in their head that concealed carriers think or do. It's not how I was. It was instead, okay, I have this tool on me that if someone were to put me under mortal danger, I have this tool to be able to respond in kind. Wow, that is a huge responsibility. That weight never left. I still think of that every time I put on my holster. It's still there. And I think that's important because the gravity of that never goes away. And complacency can be just as dangerous as not carrying a firearm. Because if I get complacent, I could be the one finding myself in trouble by using my firearm in a negligent manner. And I don't want any of that either. Does Wisconsin have a limit on what you can carry as far as caliber? Nope. In the literature that I received with my permit, there is no restrictions with what caliber handgun I can carry. So, technically, I could carry a 500, but I'm not really sure how I'd conceal that, or that I'd even want to carry it in the first place, but it's there. Alright. When I started carrying, I became the nicest, most laid-back person you'd ever want to meet. I think that is massively important. One of my friends on YouTube, Zombie Tactics, did a great video that I watched before I got my permit. I just thought spoke to the importance of that mindset that you have to adopt as a concealed carrier, because it is now your responsibility to try to de-escalate. Because if you're in a dangerous situation now, and you have that jury looking at how you responded, it's gonna look one way if you're in a fist fight because some drunken idiot decided to get up in your face and you started losing the fight, got in fear of your life, and drew your firearm. It's not so cut and dry. I mean, we only have to look as far as Zimmerman to see how that doesn't always play out the way some would think it would play out. There are some people who feel that Zimmerman is totally justified. And there are others who feel like that was just straight out murder. And the possibility for an infinite number of different situations just impresses upon me the importance of having situational awareness to try to avoid a situation, and then learning how to de-escalate if I find myself in any kind of confrontation, even if it's just verbal. That becomes that much more important to me. 500 caliber Derringer. Yeah, that'd be one heck of a pistol. Yikes. I imagine that would kick like a mother. Concealed hand grenade. I don't know that counts as a projectile. Okay, if I'm concealed carrying, I'm doing just that. No one will ever know what I'm carrying. I prefer to do things that way for the most part. There are certain occasions, like if I'm going out to a shooting event specifically for other shooters and concealed carriers, like the Second Amendment shoot, or the recent shoot that I went to at McMiller's, where I posted the video on the Fate of Destiny YouTube channel with my first impressions of the Wind and Weaponry, the carbon fiber rifle. That shoot was with other concealed carriers, other firearms enthusiasts. So I didn't really pay any bother to whether or not I was printing. Actually, I knew I was printing, but because I knew I was going to be in a firearms-friendly audience, that it wasn't going to be a problem, especially because I already knew everyone else was carrying too. Some of them open carrying. De-escalating is an important skill to learn. Yeah, you are not supposed to be drinking when carrying. Yeah, that's the law out here anyway. Although I wonder how you would address that if, let's say, you're at home having a couple of beers and you have your gun by you, and then your house is, invaded and you're attacked. How would you respond? I just think that makes for some interesting discussion. I don't care if people know. Then I guess open carry is totally an option for you. I print all the time. What I found surprising is the couple of times that I totally freaked out, like, oh no, I'm printing, I'm printing, I'm printing. I would like ask somebody around me, like a close friend, not just anybody, hey, do you notice anything weird? And most often they didn't know I was printing until I told them, or I asked for them to look for it specifically. I think most people, at least the most people that I'm around, because they're not looking for it, they're not expecting it, they don't notice. But it's still something I think about. Does the way you carry change with the seasons, Des? Like OWB holster in the winter versus IWB in the summer? Most of the time, I just carry IWB because it's just plain easier to conceal. And also, I don't have an outside the waistband holster that I like, so that's another component of that. But I haven't spent a lot of time looking for an OWB holster because I am pretty pleased with the in the waistband holsters I have. I do change what I carry from time to time, and some of that is dependent on the weather. Like if I want to wear t-shirts, I know that my full-size pistols are more likely to print, so I'm more likely to carry a subcompact pistol. But sometimes I carry a full-size pistol anyway. There are other measures I found of being able to obscure printing. Like I've got this, I call it my ugly bag. This is fabulously ugly purse that I get a huge kick out of, so I wear it anyway. And the way that it sits, it's a backpack purse. It sits just above where my pistol grip is. So it's not low enough to get in the way of my pistol so I can draw effectively if I need to. But because it sits just on top of it, you can't tell that I'm printing, even if I'm carrying a full-size whatever gun. So, to some degree, I'll change with the weather, but mostly I'll change what I'm still carrying based on where I'm going to be and what I want to wear. Like, in occasions where I'm wearing, like, a skirt, or maybe I'm dressing up for some, like, nice fancy event, I'll carry something smaller just because it's way easier to make sure that I'm not printing. That's a little bit more what my carry choices are, upon which are dependent. Alright, getting caught up again. I'd print intentionally in certain situations. There is a psychological aspect to displaying that you carry a firearm, whether open carry or whether obviously printing. Okay. I don't carry or have any compacted pistols. Well, as a female, I just recognize that girl clothes are dumb. They're very impractical, but I like wearing what I choose to wear. And I choose to find other ways to work around that. Sometimes that means wearing a smaller or carrying a smaller firearm. Okay, do you ever do archery? I have done a little bit of archery. Some of my family members are bigger into it than I am, and they've been teaching me and trying to encourage me to go out shooting with them. I like it, but it's not as like exciting as shooting because there's no bang. It's all quiet. But as I learn some more about the sport, I would like to eventually put up some videos on it. Have you shot the wall through PPQ? Not yet. I would really like to. I've read a lot about it and seen so very many positive reviews, but I haven't had the opportunity to fire it yet. Okay, do you carry a backup gun? Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Depends on what I feel like carrying for that day. But I don't really divulge that in any particular instance. Do you lock your doors? That is an excellent point. And yes, we have several locks on every opening into our house. That is a really important, that's almost like a religion in our family of making sure that our house is all like safely secured and locked down. That should be our first method of defense. Or one of them anyway. Okay. As carriers, we are hyper-vigilant about our carry. 99% of the public is oblivious. There are so many things that are worn on our waistbands now. That is one thing that I noticed. I have had, like, even my best friend, just assumed that, like her, I was carrying my cell phone in my back pocket. Didn't even occur to her. And I had mentioned something about it because she already knew that I could still carry, and we've been shooting together, and, you know, she is a close enough friend that I trust her with that information of when I'm carrying. And she's like, "Oh, really? You have a gun right now?" Oh. And it happened to be a full-size pistol that I was carrying, and I was wearing, you know, a couple of shirts and then a t-shirt, so it wasn't like I was some kind of baggy sweatshirt jacket situation. If you would have been looking for it, you would have seen it. I think is one of those kind of instances. But she didn't know, and she even knew to look for it. And that was the comment that she made. She just assumed it was a cell phone or, you know, a wallet or something. I think that helps conceal it. I'm getting caught up on comments again here. Two attack cats and a dog. Yeah, my cats are probably a little more, or probably more aggressive than my dog. Okay, definitely more aggressive than my dog. Aries is just a very, very friendly puppy. Any thoughts on big bore rifles? I haven't had a ton of experience with them. I mean, I did get to shoot that 50 cal Model 99 Barrett rifle, and that was insanely cool. But stuff's expensive.
Question was air rifles.
Oh, I missed that it said air rifles. Well, I will address that too then. But rifle shooting in general, I don't do as much of as handgun shooting, but I'm starting to change that. I'm starting to go out to the rifle range more. I haven't done a whole lot of air rifle shooting, rather. A little bit of it, but not the big bore stuff. Not yet, anyway. I am open to the idea, and I'd like to try it, but I don't have one. I don't have one accessible to me, so I'd have to go out shopping. Did you have a recommendation, perhaps, for a big bore air rifle? Okay, my wife came between us, Destiny. I had to go get the milk. I would highly recommend listening to your wife. This video will be here. You can catch back up when I post it on YouTube if you like, or don't. Do you carry in your home as well? Yes, I do. Actually, I have an article on the Arms Guide about that. Let me pull it up real quick. There have been a couple of incidences in the news recently that really upset me. Here we go. Here's one of them. Home invasions. Moms need self-defense on the Arms Guide. In this article, I'd reference two instances specifically. One was an instance where a man broke into a house where a house in New Jersey, where a mother was watching cartoons. You can even see the television. Watching cartoons with her 3-year-old daughter while her 1.5-year-old son was sleeping upstairs. And this guy, they found out, has a history of doing things like this. But he just broke into her house, kicked down the door, and proceeded to run straight to the couch and beat the tar out of her. And the video is very upsetting, where he just is this big, big guy and wails on her right in front of her kid. She did nothing to antagonize the man. She didn't, scream or threaten or anything. And later in the interview afterward, she said that she was afraid that if she did so, it would get her daughter to start crying, and that would call attention to her and drive the man to possibly harm her daughter. And that, of course, is the last thing she wanted. So it just goes to show that these kinds of attacks, they can happen. Bad things happen. Sometimes bad things happen to good people for no reason. And they can happen, and it's just a nicer neighborhood. It's not like a particularly crime-ridden slum or anything. And this dude just bashed right on in, and he stole some money and some, jewelry, stole her wedding ring. And that kind of stuff just happens. I don't expect it to happen to me. I don't wake up in the morning terrified that somebody is going to barge into my house and beat the living tar out of me and steal my stuff. But I like to have self-defense options available to me on the off chance that something does happen. I don't want to be, caught unawares. Do you find it hard to go from drawing a 1911, where you'd have to disengage a manual safety, versus something like a Glock? Yeah. It's not that it's hard so much in that it's challenging, but that I don't have the muscle memory and I have to think about it. So if I do decide to carry something with a manual safety and then switch to something without, I practice and I drill. I do a lot of dry firing, drawing, and practicing drawing with an initial, either if I'm switching to manual, flipping that manual safety off and then firing, and if I'm switching to non-manual, just drawing and firing. Because I recognize that under a stressful situation, I might not have the presence of mind to go, oh, did I flick off that safety? Oh, that's right, this pistol doesn't have one. Okay, we're cool. That could be crucial seconds. Even if that thought process is happening really, really rapidly, I don't want to take that chance. And I understand that if I'm just freaking out because some dude is trying to kill me, I may not be thinking about that. So I let the muscle memory think for me. And therefore, anytime I switch guns, I do a lot of drilling so that my fingers know what to do. Alright, getting caught up. Have you tried the Glock 18? I wish. I've shot the Glock 17 and the Glock 19, but no full auto Glocks. I have shot a suppressed Glock, though. That was fun. That was actually the first suppressed firearm I've ever shot, was a suppressed Glock 19, I believe it was. That was really cool. It was very, very quiet, as anticipated. Semi-auto or revolver? Both. I guess for my own self-defense purposes, I prefer having a semi-auto, partly just because revolvers are more challenging to carry. Because they are wider. That is pretty much just a personal preference, though. And as far as going to the range goes, I love both. I think there's something about a big bore wheel gun, especially, that is just plain fun. I especially love the Smith & Wesson 629. I have had my eye on a snubby 629 for 2.5, 3 years now, and haven't been able to find one for myself. But one day, I want that gun. And then as far as semi-autos go, I started learning on a semi-auto, but I'd say I still shoot a good deal of wheel guns. I think they both have their benefits and their downsides. All right, getting caught up again. What's your opinion on off-body carry? I don't prefer it. I don't feel really good about it because there's always that potential, for women, ladies can still carry purse carry. There is always that thought of what if that's the one time I don't know, fixing a shirt, or I need to set it down so that I can use both hands for something, or I don't even know, because this is one of the reasons why I don't choose to purse carry. And somebody, while I'm not looking, snags my bag and runs off with it. Now they've got my bag, and they have a live firearm. Ugh, that situation. But I temper that with the knowledge that there are some ladies who I know who absolutely do not feel comfortable with concealed carrying a firearm on their person. It's scary, it doesn't feel right, they don't even know how to conceal it, but they are willing to carry a firearm in their purse. Ultimately, I'm not going to tell anyone how they should and shouldn't carry. It's not my right, not my position. How can I tell another person what's going to work best for them? But if purse carry gives a lady who won't carry any other way an option to conceal carry, I'm not going to totally say, don't ever do it, put it out of your head. Because for that woman, that might be a last-ditch resort for her. And who am I to tell her she's not allowed to have that? But for my personal choice, I don't purse carry. I don't feel comfortable with it. And for the most part, I carry a purse that's about this big, and I couldn't carry anything in it other than, my ID and like $2 because I never carry cash on me. So it would be completely infeasible for me on that standpoint too. Oops, sorry I'm late. You can start now. Whew. Welcome, Thor. Glad to have you. All right. Pump action or semi? Personally, I prefer pump action. Part of... It's not... Let me start that over. The shell, it's not that it's super reliable or predictable for extraction. And part of my exposure to semi-auto shotguns has been that they just kick worse too. I know that on some of them they're adjustable, but I've gotten to shoot a number of pump actions and own a couple of different pump actions that you action them and they just plain work. And it seems to be easier for me to control. And so maybe part of that is my own lack of training. I need to learn how to handle semi-autos better. Perhaps it's lack of exposure that I haven't gotten to shoot the nicer semi-auto shotguns that don't beat you up so bad and that you can tune a little bit nicer. But up until I do, my preference is for pump shotguns. All of my personal shotguns are pump action. Have you ever fired a KSG? I have. And fortunately it was, all the rounds actually ran, or all the shells actually fed. But I was shooting at Kel-Tec's booth at Media Day at SHOT Show, so that may have been part of it. The representatives were right there making sure all their guns were nice and tweaked and everything, but I shot, what was it, like eight rounds? Yeah, because they put 4 in each tube, and then I could switch tubes. That was kind of neat. I like the concept of it. It seems to be a pretty neat shotgun, but they're kind of hard to find, and I'm not so enamored with it that I have been willing to like search really hard and spend what they're going for. Have you carried your civilian taser doll? I have. Yeah. One of the nice things about having that taser option is just that there are places that I've been that do not allow firearms, but they do allow tasers. There are many places that just prohibit tasers and firearms, but it's nice having the option, you know. All right. Getting caught back up. By the way, thanks everybody who joined. We hit 91 viewers at a single time, which is really neat. Opinion on the Tavor. Oh man, I'm pretty fond of that thing. Not going to lie. I am quite fond of that rifle. If I had a spare, whatever, 2K or 2200, whatever it is, I would own one, for sure. I think one of the nicest things about it for me is the fact that I shoot with both my left and my right arms. I prefer shooting lefty, so I would probably want to switch the ejection port over to the left. But you can switch the charging handle, you can switch the safety selector. The thing is really cool. Not to mention, I just like bullpups. So I could talk about that for probably a while. I'm pretty pleased with that. I've had a better experience shooting the Tavor than shooting the Stayer, which I've shot as many rounds through a Stayer AUG than or AUG, however you want to say it. I've shot as many rounds through that as I have through the Tavor, and ended up preferring the Tavor. And one of the nice things, or one of the neat things, was I got to try a Tavor that had a little bit of trigger work done on it. This is the nicest bullpup trigger I've fired up to this point. Not that I have a wealth of experience, but with a little bit of work on it, it was definitely improved from the stock, and apparently it was an easy swap. I know Tim from the Military Arms channel has a YouTube video on it. All right, getting caught back up. Do you lock your carry gun at night, or do you keep it bedside for quick access? Only somebody who wanted to attack me at night would find out. And actually, they probably wouldn't even notice. They would probably be drawn by that time that they realized I was ready to pull it out on them. That's not information that I like to share. Nothing Fancy took 45 minutes to say the trigger sucked. He does not struggle coming up with words like I do. He seems to be more gifted in saying what he feels about something than I am. But I guess I'll just have to work on not stumbling so much. Some people are just more loquacious. Okay, let me see. How did you feel after the tasing? Exhausted. Completely exhausted. I felt like, even though, like, immediately after the shock, I had adrenaline, but what was funny about it is that I was exhausted while the adrenaline was running through my system. So I'm like, I'm wide awake, but I sure don't want to move. Oh, my neck was sore, my shoulders were sore, my shins were sore, my forearms were sore. It was like the most intensive workout, all condensed into 5 seconds. It was very uncomfortable. It wasn't exactly like, it wasn't the worst pain I've ever experienced. You know, different, like falling off my bike and scraping up my legs was definitely worse, especially after pouring iodine on that. That sucked. I still have scars from that. But, so it wasn't the pain that made it a really negative experience, although it definitely hurt. It feels like having muscle cramps everywhere simultaneously, which is not cool. But the biggest thing that was uncomfortable for me and that was frustrating for me was the fact that I'm sitting here being tased, but my mind is still clear and coherent, and I was thinking, okay, it felt like time slowed down, and I was thinking to myself, all right, how many seconds has it been? Let's just see if I can't voluntarily clench all my muscles and maybe they won't be spasming so bad. Nope. Okay. Oh, geez, it has to have been like 3 seconds by now, right? There's only like 2 more to go. Oh gosh, is it done yet? So it was the fact that I wasn't in control of my body was the most, like, uncomfortable part about that experience. Not that I wouldn't be in any kind of hurry to get it done again. It hurt, you know. It may not have been like life-altering level of pain, but it sure wasn't fun. Alright, getting caught up again. How's the ammo situation where you are? You know, it's okay. I have gone to Walmart. Actually, I went to Walmart, what was it, just like a couple of days ago, and I saw 9mm on the shelves. It was Hydroshock, but there were like 4 or 5 boxes of it just sitting there. So it is around. If you really want to get the ammo, you got to be willing to get up early. Oh, I just picked up, I've gotten, between 2 different stores, I got like 500 rounds of 9mm. So it's out there, but you got to be willing to look around because the different stores have different times that they put their ammo on the shelves. And a lot of people have kind of figured out their particular store's routine for when they stock, and then they're willing to wait. And when they're willing to go to that store early and wait until they put their ammo out. And this is southeast Wisconsin. I don't know how it is everywhere else. Dest, I may have the chance at role-playing as a bad guy in active shooter training with simunition rounds. How do you think getting shot with a simunition round would feel? I read an article where a guy did simunitions training, and he says it's like kind of like getting shot point blank with a paintball, where it stings. It's not life-changing or anything, and you might break the skin, but you might just get a nasty welt from it. The overall impression I've gotten from the different articles that I've read is that it hurts, but it's not the end of the world. It does definitely give you a response, though. And it also is dependent on the distance. I mean, if you're shooting point blank a sim round at somebody, it's going to suck a lot more than if you're shooting it, 20, 30 feet away. So that's also a factor. But the recommendation I gleaned from those few articles that I read when I was researching some munitions was try to dress heavily and wear some protective gear if you can, and wear gloves because your hands will get shot. I learned that in paintball the hard way. I had each one of my knuckles was so swollen because I kept poking out here. around some cover, and the dudes I was shooting, or with which I was shooting, didn't have much to shoot other than like the space of my head and then my hands. So they shot the heck out of my hands, and I was the idiot who didn't wear gloves. So I spent the next day like, meh. I had sausage fingers. It was not fun, and my dad laughed at me for my not planning ahead. Like, I told you should have worn more gear. Yeah, and as usual, Dad was right. Okay, getting caught back up again. Simunition pain is manageable, but it does hurt a bit. Yeah, that's the general consensus I'm getting. Like, it's not fun. I wouldn't, you know... That... I've said what I've read. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling at this point. Sorry to cut out early. Till next week. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by. I'd love to do some training with simunitions. That's part of why I was researching, actually. Illinois approved today can still carry. Yes, I talked about that at the beginning of the live stream, and also I wrote an article on it at the Arms Guide. That just published about an hour and a half ago, thereabouts. So if you go to thearmsguide.com, the very first article is information on that law that approved, or that overruled the governor's vetoes. Mechanics tactical gloves do wonders. I've heard that, and a lot of my buddies who do paintballing regularly wear those gloves. Simunitions are no joke. I've seen it take skin off. I saw some pictures where there were just some nasty welts, and a couple of them had broken open. It made me not feel like that looked like a super fun time, but it wasn't enough to dissuade me from wanting to do simunitions training. I personally think that force-on-force training is really important, and if you can possibly get force-on-force training, I think that there's no other training options out there. You know, USPSA and shooting at targets that, you know, they twirl or they move from side to side, that's kind of having a moving target, great, but it's kind of predictable, and it doesn't have the same kind of psychological effect as some living, breathing, thinking person jumping up in front of you unpredictably with a firearm that can launch a projectile at you. Yes, it's not a lethal projectile, but I imagine if I were in that situation of a simunitions training and having somebody jump out at me with a gun and shooting me with the simunition, I would still probably get pretty stressed. Don't tase me, bro. It's don't sim me, bro. Yeah, basically. It's good training. You get to feel when you actually get hit instead of just saying bang, bang when you're hit. There is a slight pain associated with it. Destiny, contact your local PD and express your interest in simunition training. What's the worst thing that can happen? They say no? Yeah, that might be worth looking into. There is another training facility that just opened up not terribly long ago, and I've been doing a little bit of looking into that. So maybe some training down the line. We'll see how things go. Oh my gosh, we got 100 people in the conversation right now. Super, super cool. Thanks, guys, for chatting with me. Alright, let me get caught up again. Have you been pepper sprayed? No, I don't want to be pepper sprayed. Call me a baby or whatever, but all of my friends who either are in law enforcement or have served in law enforcement or they've been in private security have had to be pepper sprayed if they wanted to carry pepper spray. And from what they've told me is, yeah, when you get pepper sprayed, it hurts right then. Hurt and blurs your vision, makes your eyes water, makes you cough and sneeze and all sorts of pretty, effects. But afterwards, when you go to wash it off, if you don't get it all, getting your face wet, it will start to run, and then it feels like you just got pepper sprayed all over again. I am not really interested in that experience. And even if I was so curious about how it felt, it would not make for some pretty video, let me tell you. one of the reasons why I did the taser video, though, was because I had a scientific interest. I needed to be able to write about how it works on the body, and none of the videos I found, none of the people I knew who had been tased, none of the responses on written articles that I read had that information. It was like there's this just big gap of nobody wanted to talk about how it affected their body. It was just it hurt or it didn't hurt, or I could stand up or I couldn't stand up, or don't do it. And none of it had that thorough review quality to it. So after several hours of research, I evaluated the risks, talked with different researchers who developed the taser, and then I took some safety precautions of my own and decided to take the tase. Now, as far as reviewing pepper spray, there are plenty of people who have given the feedback that I was looking for on the taser, who have provided that feedback for pepper spray. So I don't feel the same need to find out that information. It's very easily accessible to me. I could pick off 5-6 buddies off the top of my head who could give me that information from their first-hand accounts without me having to get pepper sprayed. No pepper spray, huh? So a bulletproof vest video would be out of the question, LOL. Yeah. Yeah. I would maybe take a bulletproof vest on a mannequin and shoot the mannequin if I had a range that would let me set up my own targets. But, yeah. No fun. I would not... I don't care how much... what great reliability that people were professing certain bulletproof vests to have, I would not want to put myself on the other end of that. No, thank you. There are plenty other ways for me to get that type of data without subjecting myself to live gunfire. I have my 10-year-old son and my 4-year-old daughter in my lap. They love this. Oh, that's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. That you're willing to share that. I have something to show them then, so give me just like 2 seconds. This is my baby. He's kind of a huggy dog. He was just asleep, so now he's giving me sleepy eyes over here. Come here, Aries. He is heavy. But this is my puppy. Oh, hi, sweetie. He is like glued to me whenever I'm by the computer. Come here, let's get your other leg up. He had one fall over. Big dog problems. There we go. So this is my 80-pound puppy. Oh, he's making sleepy sounds at me. This is Aries. He's an American bully. And he is 80 pounds of sweetheart. Aw, his eyes are already, like, closing. Yeah, huh, baby? And even though he's huge, he hasn't figured out that he's not still a puppy. So he either sleeps on me, or he, like, wants to play like crazy. Aries is legit! Yeah, he is. He's super well behaved. Until I want to put him on camera. In which case, he is massively unpredictable. Unless he's asleep. In which case, he pretty much just chills like this. But he is a complete mama's boy. Okay, he's awesome. I might be a little bit biased, but I happen to think so. I love his coloring, too. He's got a reverse brindle, so he's got these fawn stripes. Or he's more fawn colored with the gray stripes. How do the pit bulls are a naturally dangerous breed comments make you feel? I feel like maybe they don't own bully breeds. And Aries is a derivative of pit bulls where they bred more Staffordshire Terrier in it, so he doesn't have dog aggression and he doesn't have people aggression. He's just really, really chill and massively friendly. He will lick you to death. But he's a sweetheart. Huh, baby? I have an American Staffordshire mix that is the sweetest, most lovable dog I've ever had the privilege of knowing. That's awesome. I thought I was like a cat aficionado before I got Aries, because I had dogs as a kid, but for whatever reason I didn't connect with them like I did Aries. Once I got him, though, it kind of changed everything. He's my little, like, shadow. He's always around me. Even if I'm writing, he whines, puts his head on my lap, and tries to climb up on me, and if I don't let him, then he just sleeps on my feet. Alright, what is your take on tactical courses like Tactical Response and Xert? I'm all for training, but I haven't taken either of those classes, so I don't know that I'd be able to give really good feedback until I had that experience. Aww. Hi, baby. I know I moved you. I'm sorry. He's making little sounds at me. There we go. I'm sorry, you got big. What's funny is when he was little, like, I had just brought him home, because that's about as long as he stayed little. He used to sleep, like, right here on me, and so if I'm, like, lying on the couch or something, he still tries to do that, and then he realizes there's no space, and so now he just lays next to me. It's really cute, though. Batgirl shirt. Comic book fan? Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm a huge, like, comic book nerd. Like, I've only read a few graphic novels, and actually, most of the graphic novels that I've read have been Frank Miller works. But I really love superheroes in general, and I will definitely geek out about that. And Batman just happens to be one of my particular favorites. Although I like a lot of different superhero characters. They're just fun stories, and I have a big imagination, so there's plenty of room for that. And then the fact that I really like, action movies. I love that. I love how superhero movies kind of combine that blend of fantasy with a semi-real world, and it's just fun. The Punisher. I have seen, I think it's 2 different Punisher movies. No, just one. The more recent one. And I like the character, but I haven't read the comic books. I've had more exposure to the Batman ones and the Batman cartoons when I was a kid. So I guess that's part of my preference. All right. One Bad Marine. I think I got chat rolled. LOL. Oh. I will try to, I think what I'll have to do is just set some time ahead in my schedule down the road so that I can join your ladies chat. Because if I don't set time aside, sometimes even months ahead of time, I just get really busy. Destiny, what is your personal opinion of wearing Crocs with socks? I think you know my personal opinion on that. I think Crocs are heinous, and I will never own a pair. And Crocs with socks makes me want to cry a little bit. Little bit. There are 3 Punisher movies. Well, I've only seen one of them. I didn't even know about the Punisher until some of my friends were like, "You like 1911s and you don't know the Punisher?" Sometimes I live under a rock and I don't know about popular culture things. I think part of that stems from the fact that I haven't watched cable TV since I was 10 or 12, something like that. I end up, falling off of the map as far as a lot of that goes. Is Aries asleep? Yeah, he's technically awake. But he's giving me sleepy sounds. Do you like the Nolan Batman movies? Yes. Although I haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises. I don't even know what happened. Actually, I do. I had a trip planned right when it hit theaters, and so then when I came back, all my friends who I wanted to go out and see it, they had already seen it. And then it just kind of didn't work out that I got to see it while I was in theaters, and every time I go to, like, go buy a movie, I totally forget that I don't own that yet. I'll get around to it, though. I will. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I agree with you, Destiny. I hate Crocs. They just bother me. I don't like them. I think they look weird. I don't like Crocs, and I don't like Uggs. I'm one of those people. I know they're supposed to be, like, really comfortable or whatever, but they just look so goofy. I missed the latest Iron Man movie. I haven't gotten out to that either, but I've been saving up for a couple of different things for my YouTube channel, and so sometimes, well, not sometimes, oftentimes, the first thing that gets cut in my personal budget is going out to see movies, just because going to the theater is freaking expensive. It is like highway robbery sometimes. Like, even the tickets, the last time I went, were, like, ridiculous. Aries knocked over one of my phones. It's cool. That thing is indestructible. Oh, I also haven't seen the Superman movie. I really want to see that. What about those super expensive shoes with the toes? I don't know how I feel about those yet. They just look really strange, and I'm not sure. I don't have the same, like, feeling I get when I see Crocs or Uggs. But I don't know that I'll ever buy a pair. I'm not sure. That is probably the girliest thing about me, though, is the fact that I love shoes. I am, like, nuts for shoes. Guns and heels, I don't think I could ever have too many of, pretty much. Let's see. What kind of self-defense ammunition do you choose? In my 45s, I carry Winchester Ranger Black Talon. RJ, I've been carrying the Hornady Critical Defense stuff. The reviews I've read and the videos I've seen, that seems to have some pretty solid performance. I wouldn't be opposed to trying something else, but I haven't done anything yet. I saw 3 kids with fur-lined Crocs. I almost vomited. Ugh. That sounds like the worst of both worlds. Okay. Wife and I are getting airsoft versions of our carry sidearms for personal force-on-force training. Gotta love a spouse who will go head-to-head like that. That is one of the coolest things I have ever heard. Good on ya. That is really awesome. I am huge on... I love the option that airsoft pistols offer for getting a firearm getting an airsoft gun that resembles your carry firearm. They have some airsoft guns that are really excellent models of the actual firearm. Although I would probably be a little careful with shooting at spouses, because that could cause some arguments later on. Like, hey, I wasn't ready, or I don't know. So, you two have some guts and a very solid relationship. But kidding aside, I really think that's wonderful that you two want to train together. I love seeing that kind of thing. Because my family trains together, and it ends up being something that not only are we preparing for self-defense, but it's also a way that we all bond together. And that's something that we appreciate and we enjoy. Thank you to Destiny's father for helping her with all this. Yes, thank you, Dad. He helps keep me organized. I am one of those, like, creative chaos people who... You don't even want to see my desk area. You always know where I am because I have a pile of all of my things out. Because that's my idea of having everything accessible to me, is having it all within my reach. And just generally it looks like a mess. And my parents have been giving me a hard time about that since I was wee little. And even my brother, when he, in between training and stuff for the military, when he looks at, like, my stuff, especially my work area, he's just like, what? It's not exactly dress right dress. Also, my dad says you're welcome. John check. Is LiveStream free to you? Yep. So you don't have to You don't have to pay anything. You don't even have to make an account. You can just watch the video just by going to the website. No, you don't have to pay anything. You need to let us see your dad. Actually, Dad doesn't like being on camera. It would be like not even pulling teeth. It would be just impossible to try and get him on camera. I've managed it for a couple of videos to get him like from the back, like the back of his head, but that's literally like 2 videos out of the 280 some that I have published. He just doesn't want to be on camera. He'd rather be behind the scenes or just watching, because he is really supportive of what I do with my YouTube endeavors and helps me with whatever I ask, as far as whether it's organization or whatever. Like, he's my camera guy in a lot of my videos, but he just doesn't want to be on camera. My brother is hard to get on camera too, which I'd love to have him on in my videos more, just because he is so cool and I really enjoy hanging out with him. We joke with each other that he's like a male version of me or that I'm a female version of him, just because our personalities are very similar.
Here I am on camera.
Dad says, "Here I am on camera." I don't know if you heard that. He's sassy. So any of my sarcasm, I can credit him for giving me that trait. Dog is snoring. Yeah, he's grunting. I'm sorry. That's Aries. That's his happy sounds. Creative people are rarely ever tidy, or so I've heard, I guess in this case. That's the excuse that I try to use, but my parents tell me I still have to clean up my stuff. Anytime I'm over, it's always, like, can you maybe not make a trail of destiny all around the house? That's just how I am. I do try to be more respectful, especially if I'm in, their space. But old habits die hard. Sarah C. says, "Your dad looks amazing. He should be a model." That is freaking hilarious. Oh my god. Dad, somebody to combat your sass. Oh, that was good. 2 points to Sarah. You win the internet today. Seriously. Dmitry Volkov. Holy crap, I made it for one of these. Hey, Des. Well, hello. Welcome to my live stream chat, number 7. I can't believe I've been doing this many of them. It's totally nuts. I am, like, marveling at how there are people who just want to, like, talk guns with me. It's still, like, a novelty for me. It's awesome. So, thanks to everybody who I haven't said hello to. Welcome to the chat. And for those of you who have left or who are leaving early, thanks for even joining for a little bit. I appreciate it. Genuinely. It's wonderful. You make this video, really. Because otherwise I'd just be sitting talking to myself. And that's something that a crazy person would do. Actually, I read somewhere that talking to yourself is supposed to be a sign of intelligence, but I'm pretty sure it just makes people look at you weird. I used to do it all the time when I worked retail, and I'd be cleaning up everything to keep things straight, make sure I had all my tasks accomplished and that I was putting things in the right place. I would say, okay, you go here, you go there. And then my coworkers would be like, "Are you talking to the such and such?" "No, I'm talking to myself." As though that made it any better. I guess I'm just one of those artsy people sometimes. Kind of surprising, because a lot of people who are liberally minded individuals who are against guns don't expect somebody who likes guns to be artsy or creative. But that's definitely me. I mean, look at my videos. Let me get caught up on comments again. I talk to myself all the time. It's only an issue if you answer yourself about that. Yeah. Do your hands go numb when you shoot a lot? I've never had my hands go numb when I shot a lot. I've had my hands go numb because I was shooting in the cold, and that was my cue to stop. I want to be able to feel my trigger finger and stuff. Oh, shooting at Media Day at the range was cold, and it was windy, and it was humid, but it was like that cold humidity, so it just seems to like kind of penetrate your clothes and stick around. It totally bites. What are you looking at here, Bear? and my hands started to get really freezing, and I ended up stopping the shooting I was doing sooner than I had wanted, just because I couldn't feel my finger pulling the trigger, and I figured that was probably not good. We're running a little behind as Grandma was here and we had to pause you. Now we're back and we're just now seeing the doggy. Thank you for tailoring to your audience. We're loving you. It is my absolute pleasure. This is all about getting to interact with everybody. I really enjoy it. It is the coolest experience for me. So I'm very happy to be able to chat at you guys. Hey Des, do you have any experience or opinion on the Trijicon ACOG? Ugh, I wish. Not really. I don't even think I've shot one. I've shot with some Trijicon up. You know what, actually, what is that Trijicon that Tim had on his Tavor? I can't remember. That was a really nice one, though. But basically, the only experience I've had with shooting a lot of aim points or Trijicons have been on other people's guns. It's something that I'd like to get for myself at some point, but personally, because I haven't shot as much rifle as I have pistol, I just want to make improvements on how well I shoot with the iron sights before I make an investment into like a red dot or some other kind of optic. It's just my personal preference. I want to know that I'm confident at how to operate my firearm with the stock sights. I think then I'll be able to really see a big difference if I then go to some other kind of optic. Aries, you can't put your face on that. He's gonna start typing for me in a minute. He rested his hand on his head on the touchpad here and started highlighting things. They are overly expensive, but the military gives them to us. Very nice, I will say. ACOGs are so crazy expensive, it's hard not to buy more guns with that one. Yeah, that's part of the problem. It's been cost prohibitive because my AR, the whole build, I don't think cost as much as one single, like, brand new ACOG. It would be kind of cool, though, if I could get a hold of one used in good condition. That's not, if I happened to find a deal in my area that was pretty reasonable, I guess. Not that I'm holding my breath, but I would definitely want to look into that. But I need a lot more time on irons before I start looking at that, before I can really justify it to myself. My cats do that all the time. Yeah, my cats are generally pretty awful about getting in my way. They like to crawl everywhere, and they usually don't like to sit still. So I very rarely have my cats in a video, and if I do have them in a video, it's like for 2 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna get caught up again. Oh, I'm curious about you guys while I'm getting caught up on comments. How has the ammo situation been in your area? I know how it's like in my little corner of the world, but I know some of you have had a harder time than even I have. Skill trumps equipment every time. That's how I was raised in general, is that if I put the practice into learning how to use something, whether it was practicing violin or training with martial arts, that the practice was always going to show through regardless of what other gear that I had, and that the gear would just help to fine-tune it. So any changes that I made to, like getting a new chin rest for my violin, that came after I had accomplished a certain degree of proficiency with my violin. So I guess the same kind of mindset extends to my firearms training, personally. Walmart shelves are bare. Finally coming back. Most ammo on the shelves here is traditional hunting rounds. Ammo in south central Wisconsin is good, just no 22 long rifle. Slightly better, still scarce. My LGS has been well stocked the whole time. Other than a few weeks of limiting to a few boxes daily, I've survived nicely. That's nice. That's awesome. I used to play violin. Yeah, I played for a few years. I wasn't terribly good at it. I think part of that was because I just didn't put the time into it I needed, but part of it was I didn't have the same natural ability for that particular instrument that I had in other areas of interest. So I ended up dropping violin and spending that time in choir and in art. And that was something that I got more enjoyment out of. So I still really enjoy orchestral music, though. And there are things I really miss about being in an orchestra and being in a choir. I love music. It's always been a pretty noticeable part of my life. I don't think that'll ever go away. I swear to God, being able to play violin is on my bucket list. Dude, that's how I feel about cello. I played violin, but I always listened to the cellos, and I stuck with violin because after a couple of years I was like, well, if I switch now, I've wasted all this time. And that was dumb thinking, but I was like, geez, 13? I wasn't making exactly super wise decisions for my adult life as far as how much time I wanted to invest in a particular musical instrument. Now I find myself wishing I had just made that time investment and switched, but I still love, love, love the cello. It's my number one favorite instrument. But piano is a close second. Yo-Yo Ma. Oh my gosh, yes, his music is insane. I haven't seen him perform live, but I have seen YouTube videos of him. He is insane. You know what I love as far as cello goes? Apocalyptica. They've been one of my favorite bands since I was a kid, and they just produce some insanely cool music. I was listening to Apocalyptica just before setting up this live stream, actually. They are some wicked cool cellists, gotta say. That's my opinion, but I'm reading through all the ammo responses here, and it looks like the summary is that seeing a little bit more ammo and shortages continue in a lot of areas. I'm finding in some of the places where I've been shopping that there is more hunting stuff than there is like self-defense stuff. Like 9mm 40 and 40 cal has been a little bit harder to find than, say, 30-06 or 12 gauge shot. Thinking about buying a used cello to play around again. I just think it makes some of the prettiest sound, and it has such a range on it. I love watching people play cello. I watch YouTube videos of people playing cello. Alright, I'm getting caught up again. Carbon fiber cellos are the coolest to play and don't have the weather issues. I have never seen a carbon fiber cello. Actually, I may have seen them in concert, but I probably didn't know at the time that they were carbon fiber. But the electric cello stuff is cool. I had friends who had electric violins, but I've never owned one myself. I couldn't justify the purchase. So I only have a few minutes left, so I'll just kind of wrap up a little bit. I have a new article that I just posted on thearmsguide.com that I'm excited about. I was sharing some of the information about that Illinois concealed carry that just passed today. And Aries finally chose to wiggle. Oh, that's not so bad. I've started contributing to the Bang Switch, so I have a couple of articles on there to check out. If you haven't already, I'd really like to hear your feedback. Let me know how you think I'm doing. Also, I'm still releasing videos every Thursday, and the live streams, if you're not catching them live, I publish them afterwards to the YouTube channel FateofDestinee. However, I have other material like behind-the-scenes kind of stuff, the creative stuff, music stuff, basically everything that's not guns, gear, and fitness with a twist. That goes to All Things Destiny YouTube channel. I have a couple of new videos that that I have in the works for that channel too, so stay tuned. And if you like these live streams, this kind of behind-the-scenes Destiny type stuff, you'll probably enjoy the All Things Destiny stuff. Although I warn you, there is some music in there, there is some more creative type interests, so it's not going to be like my gun review kind of content. So, do you like Lindsey Sterling? Oh my gosh, I adore her. She is like one of my favorite celebrities, I guess is what you would say. Yeah, musical artists, but just celebrities in general. She is way cool. And she's just adorable. I love the creativity that is expressed not just in her music, but also in her presentation of it. I've never seen somebody dance around with a musical instrument like that, but especially not a violin. And I love how she's able to combine the more classical music, my more classical musical interests like classical violin, with dubstep. That is so freaking rad. I love it. Okay, we have 5 more minutes, so I can answer a few more questions, share, and respond to a couple more comments before we cut out this live stream. She's awesome. I wish I could have caught her at the concert she had in Indy back in May. Yeah, one day I would love to see her perform live. I'd also love to see Apocalyptica perform live. That would just be like a party and a half. That'd be so cool. I love live music, but I have social anxiety, so I struggle with really enjoying the feel and the performance, because live music just has a different vibe than anything that's studio recorded. But I get so anxious with having other people around, it like stresses me out. So I have to like temper how much stress I'm willing to endure in order to enjoy that live music experience. Ladies and gents, don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter over at thearmsguide.com. Thank you, Nate. Nate is one of our contributors at the Arms Guide, and actually he just recently put up a really awesome article on building AR-15s. I really wish I would have had that reference when I had started my first build. It's some great information, but his and articles from our other, I think we have now 7 other contributors, which is super cool. On the Arms Guide, we post articles every day of new content on gun news, gun reviews, gear, knives, but it's mostly firearms related. So if you like the YouTube content, there's more of that on thearmsguide.com. When are you going to post some singing videos on All Things Destiny? I should actually get to that, like, if I can find the time tonight, I should get around to that. I have some videos that I moved from the Fate of Destiny channel that I'm planning on putting over to All Things Destiny so soon. I'm not sure exactly how quickly I'll be able to get to it because I have a few other projects planned, but I have some new stuff in the works too that will also be going on All Things Destiny, some music stuff that nobody's seen before. So if you like that kind of stuff, well then, stay tuned. Dmitry Volkov, I've enjoyed your articles on thearmsguide.com. Your writing has the feeling of being more conversation than someone spewing knowledge. Thank you. I love writing. Since I was a kid, I've always felt like, maybe it's because I'm so shy, but I've always felt like I've expressed myself so much better through the written word than through the verbal word. And having that outlet of the Arms Guide and other websites to which I contribute gives me that chance to communicate with people in the way that I feel like do it the best. I love it. And I'm really excited to be able to have a couple of new contributors introduced. We have a writer, Brian, and then Savage Henry are some of our newer contributors. But a couple of my YouTuber friends, like NSZ85 and Argo J, are also contributors on thearmsguide.com. And then we have a couple of published authors who write military and law enforcement style fiction. So we have a really neat crew of people over there, and I feel very fortunate to get to work with them. All right, I have only 1 minute more. How long does the average video edit take you? The editing doesn't take me as long as the post-production, because finally, after 2.5 years, I don't do as much stumbling as I used to, because I'm not as terrified of being on camera. So it kind of depends on the scale of the project and all of the visual and music effects that I want to put into it afterward. But it generally takes me a few days to get to put any one video together. The editing, like the raw, like pulling out maybe say video of me saying something awkward or bumbling, in the way that I can't change in this kind of video, or instances where I like forget what I was going to say or whatever, pulling that footage out and rearranging different video clips is probably only the first like day or two. The bigger chunk of time is finding music that I want to put with it or composing and that kind of stuff. But it looks like our time is up, so I'm sorry I didn't get to address that question maybe as fully as you may have liked. But to everybody who made it, thanks for joining the live stream. I had fun, and Aries snored, so I hope that you guys enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And I will see you next week at new.livestream.com/FateofDestinee. Say bye, Aries.